You must be here for the final part of the CCA saga, aren't you? All the blood, gore, violence, it's ending finally. You must expect a bloody bloodbath for the finale, don't you? Well, that's not exactly what happens. The temple was dark. The grass we trekked across was wet and cold. A slight breeze blew as we were ready to attack. They were already there. On the other side of the Zyos, the phantoms stood. They stared us down, their single eyes glinting with years and years of hatred for our kind. Only for me, they looked at me with something I couldn't name. I knew chaos was about to emerge as soon as I gave the word. I sighed a deep, shuddering breath. Turning to my warriors, I memorized the bravery the MFW showed to me in this moment. Something told me I wouldn't be able to see it ever again. Okami, Nora, Hun, you're the top officers under me. Your leadership is needed when this is over. I can't join you all in this fight. They're waiting. I have to try and finish them off, I said. They nodded. Fight well, my warriors. With that, the phantoms and my warriors lunged into battle and the chaos begun. Well, I should have joined the battling. I had to find the place where I knew they were waiting. I watched as phantoms were ripped apart, animals electrocuted, so on. Blood of animals soaked the grass, and the purple liquids phantoms had, mixing with the red. But I had to remember it wasn't real. Animal Jam was a game, not a true battlefield. I stopped. What was I saying? This was a true battlefield. Why didn't I think otherwise? What were these memories coming into my head? I stumbled in my frantic thoughts. My head came into contact with the ground, and black took over my vision. When I could see again, I immediately knew this wasn't reality. The area, Zyos, it was young, new, and not an animal in sight. What I did see were phantoms, tons and tons of phantoms populating the area. But they weren't the phantoms I knew of. They were happy. They were joyful, playing around the statue that was no longer a ruin. In a flash, I saw my passenger. No, not my passenger. Me. I saw myself swoop over the phantom-infested area and land on the statue. My pitch-black form blocked at the sun, my white eyes filled with excitement. My lovely creations, I have exciting news. In order to keep a connection between you and I have created Phantom Alphas. These creatures are my assistants, and they will stay here in Jama with you and listen to what you have to say. Allow me to introduce them to you. I spoke. My wings outstretched, and multiple spheres of black dripped from them. Each sphere formed into a different animal. You wouldn't believe who they were. This is Volpio, a black fox. Next is Midas, a white rabbit. Wyanx, a gray wolf with blue patterns. Tibu, a black and white Arctic wolf, although he never shows his real form under his dragon costume. Fiara, an orange tiger. Bilik, a cream seal. Amatos, a brown cheetah. Ryun, a gray rhino. Sekot, a cream snow-leopard. And finally, Revak, a gray horse. These new creatures are called animals, the only ones of their kind for now. Today marks a new era for Phantom kind. The phantoms cheered, but as this happened, the horse, Revak, turned away and looked at me, the real me, right in the eye. He sneered. Do you remember this day, Mira? This day was the day you planned to leave, for good. You created us, then you created more of our species and others. Once the deed was done, you vanished. Your disappearance let the first war happen. We sided with the phantoms and fought with them against their impending genocide. The animals you created saw them unfit to live in what they believed was their world. We tried to stop them, but they didn't listen and destroyed us all. But we were children born directly from your soul, and we were revived by the slim part of immortality you implanted in us. But we awoke, battered and broken, in the forms you know us in as now. We've searched for you for so long, we even revived the phantoms, but the animals are on the brink of exterminating them again. And you, whatever you did to yourself to hide, betrayed your first children. Myra, I know you must be upset beyond belief that your two creations have lived lives of hatred for ages, but you must know which of your creations must be destroyed for good. The second alphas think you choose them, but we know better. Myra, Please, we just want you back. We just want the good old days back. I shook my head. But how can I decide genocide for anyone? Rebecca sighed. Myra, you were born a god of the universe from computer code. A mistake, but a god no less. You had the power to alter the timeline by turning yourself into a human girl, rewrite a family into thinking they had 2 daughters, and trick yourself into thinking you were a mortal human girl. You have the building blocks of anything at your fingertips, he spoke. I perked up suddenly, an idea forming in my head. A way to save every life put on the line. My Arctic wolf body melted off of me, skin, muscle, and organs falling away to dust. My bones exploded into black, misty energy as I reclaimed my true form. I was Myra, and I was going to fix this, for good. My phantom alphas from the memory encircled me, turning into the post-war forms they lived in for so long. Ravak, or whatever your CCA name is. I know a way to fix this. To end the war, to restore your forms, and keep Jamal in a peaceful state. I'm going to rewrite the timeline. Go back before the war started. Before the unrest started. Go back to the day I created you all. This time, I won't leave. I will stay. Myra will not be a myth. My alphas perked up. But, Myra, we won't remember any of this, will we? The half-faced tiger, Fiara asked with a hint of sadness. No. Fiara, why would you even want to remember any of this? This horrible bloodshed, your injured bodies. None of those terrible things done to you was because of the phantoms, was it? It was the animals. Everything will be fixed. Rebak sent the others off, and they disappeared, along with the memory. He and I were left floating in darkness. He looked me dead in the eye again. I was known as the petrifying horse as of now. I was a leader when you were gone, in a sense. The phantoms were scared of me. I ruled with such hatred for the animals, and hurt because you left this to us. But I request that you let me keep these memories, lest you try to leave again. If you leave again, or try anything like it, I will remind you of what leaving does. So don't you dare let history repeat, he rumbled. I nodded. But, Rivak, all this time you spent fighting me, why? What was the point of it? Why couldn't you just have told me when the eyeless fox, Volpio, first found me? He sighed. We weren't sure if you was really you. You were a strong spirit, and we'd grown sour over the years. Even if it hadn't been you, you were a fun plaything. I cocked my shadowy head. I suppose I deserve it. Now, let's fix this mess. My white eyes began to radiate with white light, brighter and brighter. The dark area faded into Zyos again, with all of the animals and phantoms stopped and staring at me. To witness my power, Myra's power, they'd given up fighting just for a moment of truce. I gave a smile, or at least what I could do with my beak. These were the animals I wanted in the past, and they would be the animals who I'd bring. The war was over. Forever.